All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, the Connecticut Huskies have been on a roll, and they kept that roll going at home yesterday with a dominating 81-53 win over the fourth ranked team in the country, the Marquette Golden Eagles. Now, the win by UConn moves them to 14-1 in the Big East as they inch closer to claiming the conference's regular season title and the top seed for next month's Big East tournament. Now, the battle between these two of the top four teams in the country coming into the contest started off close, but the Huskies went on that run to end the first half. They went on a 24-8 run over about the last 9 minutes and change of the first half. And at that point, UConn never looked back. Now, Marquette came into this game as the fourth highest scoring team in the Big East at nearly 78 points per contest. But the Connecticut defense put the clamps on them as the Golden Eagles were just 5 of 23 yesterday from the land of threes, while they just shot 36% overall for the game. Now, credit to this Connecticut defense as Marquette guard Tyler Kolek was held to just 7 points on 2 of 11 shooting. The Huskies, and I've said this before, they're a different team when the big fella's out there. And I'm talking about Donovan Klinging. And, Klinging, since he came back, he's continued to contribute at a high rate, 17 points and 10 boards yesterday on 7 of 8 shooting. And we've talked about the spurt ability for Connecticut because that was a big part of their championship team last year. UConn could just go on those deep runs, and they just knew how to smother teams, to say the least, and just impose their will at both ends of the basketball court. And we're once again seeing it this year. You think about their defense and what they can do, and their defense creates offense. And then, just the fundamentals of this team under head coach Dan Hurley, which includes their defense, which can be smothering, and the unselfish play on the offensive end of the floor, and then their ability to space the floor as well. And credit to these Huskies because they've taken on the mindset of their head coach, which most teams usually do. But in this instance, in this example, you think about it because anybody who saw Dan Hurley play collegiately at Seton Hall knew he was a tough-minded, scrappy guy who was going to get in your face and do whatever he had to do. And this UConn team does it. They play, a stingy defense. And it's one of those where, you think about every step of the way since Dan Hurley has been a college basketball head coach, his teams have embodied that. We saw that at Rhode Island so much. And then, of course, he got the opportunity to go to the Big East and Connecticut. And, of course, the rest is history. Now, UConn still has some work ahead of them, in the regular season. But, like I talked about it last week, is this going to be the year that they break their streak? And when I'm talking about the streaks, every year after they won a national championship, if they made the NCAA tournament, they never got past the second round. And this team is looking real good. You've got 5 guys in double digits in points. You look at how they space the floor with the likes of Cam Spencer and Tristan Newton, Alex Caravan, just to name a few. And then when you've got that big fella that can finish close to the basket, when you've got that big fella that can clean up on the boards like Donovan Klingen can, that's a game changer. And you've got a championship head coach, you've got a championship team, you got a lot of guys back from last year's championship team. And the biggest thing about these Huskies right now, they are still hungry. And they've been rolling ever since that loss to begin Big East play to Seton Hall, and they beat a darn good team yesterday in Marquette, and they made it look easy. Marquette is probably going to be a 2 or 3 seed if things hold out the way that they currently are in the NCAA tournament. But nonetheless, that was a big time statement yesterday for the Connecticut Huskies. And on the flip side for Marquette, they want to try to find a way to get back on track themselves, because the Golden Eagles came into yesterday winners of their last 8. They want to try to get back on track. Shaka Smart and his club do. Of course, you got that buffer coming up Wednesday when they host DePaul. And DePaul, of course, is currently winless in the Big East this season, as everybody's been beating up on them. And I think Marquette's going to do the same. And then they've got 2 meetings with Xavier. They travel to Creighton on March 2nd, do the Golden Eagles. And then, of course, the rematch with these Connecticut Huskies when they welcome them to Milwaukee on March 6th. And, of course, that is going to be a dandy. Like I said, UConn still has their work cut out for them. They've got the rematch with Creighton this Tuesday night in Omaha, and I guarantee you that's going to be a good one. UConn beat the Blue Jays by 14 points earlier this season at home, and I guarantee you that Creighton and Greg McDermott, they definitely want to try to get the best of these Huskies come next Tuesday night. UConn hosts Seton Hall. On March 3rd. And that's going to be a big one, because not only did Seton Hall beat the Huskies to begin Big East play, they dominated them. So, UConn is definitely looking to get back on track. And of course, keep their momentum going. I talked about the rematch with Marquette, and then they finish up at Providence, a very good Providence team. They're dealing with injuries right now, but the Friars are playing and looking like an NCAA tournament team. Still a possibility that we'll see both Connecticut and Marquette face off in the Big East tournament. They're still 1-2, but yesterday's win, helped to put some cushion between UConn and Marquette. And I don't see Marquette or Creighton or Seton Hall. They're the only other 3 teams besides Connecticut that have double-digit conference wins in the Big East this season. I don't see any of them catching Connecticut. They're all at 10 wins, and UConn is at 14 wins. But nonetheless, there is a possibility, yes, that these 2 clubs could meet in the Big East final. Easier said than done, because this is a deep conference, and I know that they'll probably get about 5 teams for the Big East tournament. But like I talked about it before, the Big East, the old Big East, was defined by their head coaches, and I think this new Big East is the same. Got guys who've taken teams to Final Fours. You have guys who have national championships on their resume, and it's a lot of guys that are coaching teams in this league, which adds to the depth of the league. So nonetheless, like I said, there's no nights off for anybody in this league. But right now, Connecticut is just making it look very easy. NCAA tournament, of course, is on the horizon next month for both of these clubs. And like I always say, let's see how the brackets break down. I talked about Connecticut, probably getting the East, and that would be big for them. The Barclays Center in rounds 1 and 2, and then of course the East Regional would be in Boston. So I mean, you know what? You might have a Husky fan or 2 in Beantown for that one if UConn gets there. But nonetheless, like I said before, UConn set the tone early and often yesterday in their win over Marquette. They're the team to beat in the Big East, and it looks like the Huskies are going to keep rolling through the regular season. And let's see if that momentum carries over to the month of March as they look to repeat as national champions. So, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.